In just one summer, over 200 million blue crabs invaded America's coastal bays, devouring oysters, clams, and even juvenile fish. What once was a prized seafood delicacy served in luxury restaurants has now become a $600 million ecological crisis. Fishermen who once depended on these waters for their livelihoods now battle the very species that made them rich. From the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland to the Gulf of Mexico in Louisiana, blue crabs have long been a symbol of American seafood pride. Their sweet, tender meat fuels an entire culinary culture: crab cakes, biscuit, and steamed crab feasts that define coastal life. But in recent decades, warming waters and human disruption have turned this icon into an invader. The population exploded beyond control, threatening oyster beds, shrimp nurseries, and even industrial fishing equipment. In these regions, crab fishing is no longer just business. It's a fight to restore balance to the American coast. Catching blue crabs in America is an operation that depends on precision, timing, and the rhythm of the tide rather than chance. Most fishermen begin their work before sunrise. The first step is loading bait, usually oily fish like menhaden, croaker, or chicken necks, into crab pots. These are square wire traps measuring about 60 centimeters on each side, built with funnel openings that allow crabs to enter but make it nearly impossible for them to escape. Each pot is tied to a buoy marked with the boat's license number for identification. Once at sea, the captain navigates to a GPS-marked line of traps laid days before, often running hundreds of pots in a single line stretching for miles. The crew uses hydraulic pot haulers mounted on the side of the vessel to lift each trap from the seabed. The motion is repetitive and physically demanding. The rope tightens, the metal trap rises, dripping with seawater and silt, and the catch is emptied into a sorting table on deck. Inside, there can be anywhere from a few dozen to over 100 blue crabs. Depending on season, salinity, and temperature, the crew quickly separates the catch: legal-size males, females without eggs, undersized juveniles, and non-target species like eels or small fish that wander in. The smaller or protected ones are thrown back immediately to comply with state law. In hot weather, crabs can die within minutes, so workers spray them constantly with bay water to keep them alive until the end of the trip. Most professional crabbers in the Chesapeake Bay or Gulf of Mexico run 2 or 3 sets of pots daily. After emptying each trap, they rebait it and drop it back into the same location, keeping the cycle continuous. The placement of traps is strategic, experienced. Fishermen read the tides, water temperature, and salinity levels to find ideal zones where crabs migrate between feeding and breeding grounds. In spring and early summer, traps are set closer to river mouths where salinity is lower. By late summer, when the crabs move to deeper salt water to spawn, the lines are shifted further offshore. A good day's haul can reach several thousand pounds of live crabs. The catch is stored in ventilated wooden or plastic baskets, layered with crushed ice or seawater to keep them cool. Each basket is tagged with the date, location, and boat name, a traceability standard required under U.S. fisheries regulations. Before heading back to port, the crew conducts a final check, removing any damaged or dead crabs that could spoil the batch. Once docked, the crabs are transferred immediately to holding tanks where oxygenated salt water replicates their natural environment. From there, licensed buyers weigh the catch and pay by the pound. Prices vary daily based on size, sex, and market demand. Large males known as number 1 jimmies often fetch the highest value. After the transaction, fishermen refuel, repair traps, and prepare for the next tide, repeating the process up to 6 days a week throughout the open season. The work is exhausting and risky. Storms, sharp claws, and unpredictable tides make injuries common. Yet every veteran crabber knows the pattern of the sea, as well as they know the lines on their hands. Their livelihood depends on staying in sync with nature's pulse, catching just enough to make a living without tipping the fragile balance of America's coastal ecosystems. Once the boats return to the dock, the first step in handling the catch is sorting. Every crab is checked for size, sex, and condition before it can be sold or processed. This step is not optional. It's enforced by both state and federal fisheries authorities such as the NOAA Office of Sustainable Fisheries, the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, and their counterparts in Virginia, Louisiana, and the Carolinas. Each crab must meet the minimum carapace width requirement, which varies slightly by state. In the Chesapeake Bay, for example, males must be at least 5 inches across the shell, and mature females must be at least 5/4 inches. Any crab below this size, or one carrying visible sponge eggs, a mass of orange or brown roe on the underside, must be released immediately. Inspectors routinely check for compliance, and penalties for keeping illegal crabs can include heavy fines or suspension of a commercial license. Sorting takes place on long stainless steel tables or wooden sorting racks. Workers, often family members or seasonal laborers, use quick hand motions honed over years, measuring shells against a metal gauge, separating males from females by the shape of the abdominal flap. Males, called jimmies, have a narrow T-shaped flap, while females, called sooks, have a broader rounded plate. Only hardshell crabs are kept for fresh sale. Softshell or peeler crabs in mid-molt are placed in special holding tanks where they finish shedding before being marketed separately. Once the legal crabs are sorted, each batch is tagged and recorded for traceability under the U.S. Seafood Import Monitoring Program, SIMP, and state tracking systems. These records include harvest date, area code, boat ID, and dealer license number data used to prevent illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. The logs are submitted daily or weekly depending on the jurisdiction. Sustainability controls go beyond size limits. Each coastal state operates under seasonal closures designed around the species' reproductive cycle. In Maryland and Virginia, the fishery is closed from late November to mid-March to protect overwintering crabs buried in the mud. Female harvest is also restricted during the peak spawning months from May through July, when millions migrate to saltier lower bays to release their eggs. Environmental agencies monitor crab populations through annual trawl surveys and larval counts. When stock numbers drop below sustainability thresholds, managers can issue emergency measures reducing trap limits, shortening the season, or increasing protected zones. These adaptive rules have been credited with helping the Chesapeake Bay population rebound after a historic low in the early 2000s. Even with such regulation, the rise of invasive blue crab populations in the southern Atlantic and Pacific coasts complicates management. Some regions, like California's delta areas, now treat blue crabs as a nuisance species, encouraging removal while still enforcing humane handling and bycatch reduction. The scale of America's blue crab industry is immense and uneven. Each year, commercial harvests fluctuate between 120,000 and 150,000 metric tons nationwide, depending on temperature, rainfall, and spawning conditions. The Chesapeake Bay region, spanning Maryland and Virginia, remains the core of the U.S. supply, contributing roughly 45% of all landings, while Louisiana and other Gulf Coast states account for another 40%. Smaller but growing catches also come from the Carolinas, increasingly from waters where the species has turned invasive. On a typical workday, a single crabbing boat equipped with 300-400 pots can haul in 5,000 to 10,000 pounds of live crabs. During peak summer tides, some high-capacity vessels in the Gulf push that number even higher, but the output varies drastically. A hot, low-salinity season can collapse yields by half, while a mild winter followed by early warmth can trigger a boom. At the industrial scale, U.S. processors handle an estimated 250-300 million pounds of blue crab annually. When including imported and reprocessed product, roughly 60% of all domestic blue crab meat stays within the U.S. market, sold fresh, pasteurized, or frozen for restaurants and supermarkets, while the rest enters global trade channels to Asia and Europe. Maryland alone exports millions of dollars worth of pasteurized Chesapeake crab every year, even as it also imports lower-cost crab from Southeast Asia to meet demand. Invasive blue crab populations have also altered national distribution. Along the Gulf Coast, where warmer waters favor explosive reproduction, fishermen now pull in catches once considered impossible. In some estuaries, crabs dominate the ecosystem to the point of outcompeting shrimp and oysters, forcing regulators to reclassify them as both resource and pest. The irony is stark. What began as a regional delicacy has become a biomass so large that it strains both ecology and market. Globally, the United States ranks among the top 3 producers of blue crab by value, behind China and the Philippines. Yet, unlike those countries' aquaculture-driven systems, the U.S. relies almost entirely on wild harvest. That means production rises and falls with environmental cycles, not factory efficiency. Each state reports its landings to the National Marine Fisheries Service (NMFS), which consolidates the data for federal statistics. In strong years, total dockside value approaches $250, 300 million, with the broader blue crab economy, including processing, distribution, and retail, estimated at more than $600 million annually. That figure includes the labor of roughly 500 licensed commercial crabbers, hundreds of small family operations, and dozens of major processing plants scattered along America's bays. Despite that scale, the fishery remains deeply local. Every basket tagged at a Maryland dock or a Louisiana bayou represents one family's survival, one small boat's endurance against tides, fuel costs, and weather. Together, those individual efforts create a network that feeds an entire country and defines a coastal culture that refuses to disappear. In the blue crab industry, preservation starts. The moment the traps are emptied, crabs spoil quickly because their enzymes break down muscle tissue within hours after death. So keeping them alive is essential. Most American crabbers use insulated containers filled with seawater or crushed ice to maintain a temperature between 5 and 10 degrees Celsius. The goal is to slow the crab's metabolism without freezing them. Aerators are used to provide oxygen during long trips, and crew members periodically rinse the catch with bay water to keep the gills moist. By the time the boat returns to the dock, more than 90% of the crabs are still alive and marketable. At the docks in Maryland, Virginia, and Louisiana, the catch moves directly into large holding systems supplied with filtered, oxygenated seawater. These tanks replicate natural estuarine conditions and can hold thousands of pounds at a time. Water temperature, salinity, and dissolved oxygen levels are checked several times a day to minimize mortality. Any dead or damaged crabs are removed immediately to prevent ammonia buildup and bacterial spread. From here, the handling process depends on the market destination. Crabs destined for the live trade, usually restaurant or wholesale buyers, are graded by size, placed in damp, burlap-lined crates, and shipped in refrigerated trucks. The crates are lightly misted with chilled seawater every few hours during transport to keep humidity stable. Crabs for meat processing are typically steamed alive within 24 hours. Commercial plants use stainless steel cookers where batches are steamed for about 20 minutes at high temperature, killing the crabs instantly and preserving the natural sugars in the meat. After cooling, workers manually remove the meat using small knives and specialized picks. Despite advances in automation, most U.S. processors still rely on hand picking because machines can't distinguish shell fragments from meat with enough precision. The meat is washed in cold water, inspected for quality, and packed into 1-pound containers. Some are sold fresh. Others are pasteurized at about 85 degrees Celsius to extend shelf life for up to 6 months. For soft-shell crabs, processors maintain separate shedding facilities. Peeler crabs that are close to molting are kept in shallow tanks with continuous water flow. When they shed their shells, workers remove them immediately and place them in chilled seawater or directly into freezers. This process requires round-the-clock monitoring. Since a newly molted crab begins to harden again within hours, waste from the plants doesn't go unused. Shells and offcuts are ground and dried into meal, used for animal feed or fertilizer. And some facilities extract chitosan for use in biomedical and agricultural products. Byproducts now account for a growing share of plant revenue, helping processors offset rising energy and labor costs. The blue crab industry occupies a crucial place in the coastal economy of the United States, especially in Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and Louisiana, where entire communities depend on seasonal harvests for their livelihoods. Economic value is generated at every step of the supply chain, from the fishermen who haul the traps to the processors, distributors, and restaurant markets that rely on a steady flow of live and cooked crab. A single full-time crabber typically operates a small workboat with 300 to 600 pots, bringing in between 40,000 and 70,000 pounds of live crabs during a good season. The gross revenue depends heavily on size and market category. In peak summer months, large number 1, males can fetch $3, $55.00 per pound at the dock, while smaller mixed crabs bring closer to $2, ling, subtracting expenses for fuel, bait, trap repair, licensing, and insurance. A working crabber in a strong year earns between $35.00 and $60, ling, while small family crews operating multiple boats may reach 6 figures during exceptional seasons. However, those earnings fluctuate dramatically with weather, water temperature, and market demand. At the processing level, factories employ thousands of workers, many of them seasonal or migrant labor who pick, package, and ship crab meat nationwide. Wages average $13 to $20 per hour. Depending on region and productivity, and employment can rise sharply from May through October. Plants also generate secondary economic activity through cold storage, packaging, shipping, and retail distribution. According to data from the National Marine Fisheries Service (NMFS), the dockside value of blue crab landings in the U.S. fluctuates between $200 million and $300 million annually. When including processing, food service, exports, and associated logistics, the broader economic footprint exceeds $600 million per year. In Maryland alone, crab-related industries support roughly 4,000 licensed harvesters, 50 processing facilities, and thousands of seasonal workers, representing one of the largest fisheries-based employment sectors on the East Coast. Beyond direct income, blue crab fishing contributes to local infrastructure and community stability. Well docks, marine mechanics, ice plants, baies suppliées, and small harbors all depend on this activity. Many towns in the Chesapeake and Gulf regions would struggle to survive economically if the crab fishery collapsed. Restaurants and tourism also feed on the image of Chesapeake crab, a cultural brand that draws visitors and sustains related industries such as charter boating and local seafood festivals. Exports remain a smaller but valuable portion of revenue. Pasteurized U.S. crab meat, known for its clean flavor and traceability, is sold to Japan, Canada, and Western Europe, where it competes against cheaper imports from Southeast Asia. The strong domestic market keeps most production inside the country, but the reputation of Maryland-style crab continues to carry premium value overseas. Still, profit margins are tightening, rising fuel prices, stricter environmental regulation, and unpredictable harvest cycles make the business volatile. Many independent crabbers have turned to cooperative models, pooling resources for bait, storage, and wholesale sales to survive lean years. Federal and state programs now offer grants for sustainability equipment, such as biodegradable traps and data monitoring systems, to reduce losses. Economically, the blue crab remains both a resource and a risk. It sustains thousands of American families, yet its abundance is tied to fragile environmental conditions that no one can fully control. The industry's survival depends on balance, taking enough to support local economies without exhausting the stock that defines them. In every crab pulled from the bay lies a small part of coastal America's income, identity, and resilience. This is not just about crabs, it's about how humans create imbalance, then struggle to restore it with the same determination that once built empires on the sea. For every trap pulled from the water, there's a story of resilience, of people who refuse to give up on the waters that raised them. So, what would you choose, modern technology or traditional stewardship, to reclaim America's waters before the next $600 million Menace arrives? Share your thoughts in the comments.